Hello, friends. Harshing's podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor lets you record, edit, and post your podcast to all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Just visit anchor.fm or download the Anchor app.
Good evening, everybody, or whatever time it is when you're listening to this, but it's evening right now. It's about to be 8 p.m. But I just wanted to start off with some really exciting news. I'm so excited. So we just literally right before we started recording our conversation, I looked into our guinea pig cage and our guinea pig gave birth. I'm just on cloud nine right now. I'm super excited.
Super juiced.
She had 5 little guinea pigs, and
Yeah.
she's cleaning them right now. And they're so cute, tiny.
Yeah, and they just literally came out because they're still pretty wet, all the juices and all. So I'm over here setting up and I'm ready. I'm sitting down.
And I'm
waiting.
screaming from out there.
Yeah, I'm like, Mario, come. What the fuck? And then, yeah, anyways.
I'm jumping around. I don't even know what I did with myself. I think I just ran around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, she just had her babies. Oh my God. Yeah, super excited. I'm so happy for her.
I can see it because I was trying to pull, okay, come on, let's record, and you're over there stuck. And
You even said right before you went over there, for real? I'm yes, just get over here. Yeah, super exciting. We're grandparents now.
But yeah.
So today, we're going to talk a little bit about our, financial struggles. We, I don't know, where do I start?
Well,
it always feels weird.
Yeah.
It still feels weird.
Yeah.
I guess we were at the grocery store today, and we, this is kind of how our conversations come to life, I guess. We're doing something and it just brings back memories, any little thing. Today it was peanut butter. A jar of peanut butter brought back memories of just our financial struggles. And the reason that it did was because back, when it started when I was pregnant with Aiden. So I applied for WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children. That's what it stands for. And it's just general support for
government program.
It's a government program where they help you with vouchers and for pregnant women. It starts during your pregnancy, and then the vouchers get you vegetables. I think it was $10 of veggies that you get. You get milk, you get cheese, you get bread, you get beans and lentils and rice and cereals. And for the cereals, I remember I was why can't I get this other kind of cereal? It's very specific ones. But yeah, so it peanut butter is one of them. So it just brought me back to how we used to rely on WIC, for our groceries.
Yep.
And so going to the store, I'm I'm going to get the big jar. It's $8. And I'm just going to grab the big jar because, it lasts longer. And it just, I don't know, it brought these emotions of back when I couldn't afford the big jar.
Yeah.
We couldn't get that big jar. It's and it's just a tub of peanut butter.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get that.
Yeah.
Unless we had WIC, that's how we had peanut butter.
Yeah. And it was if we look at it right now, it's what, only $8, right? I mean, it's only $8, but back before it was it was $8, but we also had to buy diapers. We had to buy milk. Well, not milk in particular, but we had bills, and of course our financial weren't where we're at now. So a lot even though it was $8,
money was tight.
Yeah, it was super tight. So
yeah,
we didn't have that luxury. Buying picking the biggest one. Even if it's more expensive, it's just. Yeah, we just didn't have that. We were kids, and we went through our ups and downs financially, but you know, it
was a struggle. And
yeah.
So one of the things is during this time, so when I was pregnant with Aiden, we were kind of on our own.
Yeah.
We were renting. When I got pregnant, we were in this little studio type garage thing. It was literally just like where we had our bed, and then you take a few steps, and it's kind of like where we could like cook something. It was like a little small little top of a stove. It wasn't even an actual stove. We didn't have an oven. It was just the tops where you can warm something. And right behind our bedroom, well, our bed was like 2 little steps, and you're in the bathroom, and it was like so tiny. It's like you just have a shower, the toilet, and like the sink. It was like, I can't even put it into words, but it was very small.
Yeah.
I think at the time we were paying like $625.
I think it was more like
675, something
675.
like that.
Yeah.
Something ending with a 5. But that's what and then we moved out of there when we found out that we were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot there. I mean, I remember we had freaking rats in there.
Yeah.
And we had told the landlord, and she wasn't like, she didn't give a shit.
No, she was just like, oh, okay. I
Yeah.
remember she went once to kind of like see if they were there, and then she opened up a cabinet, and yeah, they were there, and she just, killed.
I think she she just smacked them.
Yeah.
I think she pretended like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And then she just never really came back to like take care of the problem. But it was a problem. I mean, I remember this one time when we were at nighttime, I was walking in because we had to walk through the driveway to the back, because it was literally the garage.
Yeah.
Just kind of conditioned a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw a fucking rat climbing the wall right off above the trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it was gross.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to bring a child into there.
Yeah.
We knew from the beginning. But so then what we did, we actually, one of my mom's friends who I was working with at the coffee shop that I was working at, she was renting a room in the bottom level of her house. So she rented it out to us. I think it was like half the rent that we were paying. So we were actually going to save some money, which was helpful because we were going to, have a kid. I mean, it was in the same area.
Like more like a block away.
Yeah, it was like a block away. It was like right around the corner, a block away. Yeah, it wasn't a permanent thing there either.
Yeah.
There was like another family living with us.
Yeah.
It was like a shared kitchen, and we were basically, what we had was our room.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then when I went into labor with Aiden, when I got induced, that's when my mom had an empty room in her apartment, and she had just suggested for a while that we move in with her. She's like, I could help you, and just bring in the baby, and we'll have like, I can help you with the baby.
Yeah.
So we decided to, as soon as he was born, we just moved in with her. We never brought him to the room. We just went straight to her, and we were helping out with the rent there. But because money was tight, we struggled.
Yeah.
And we struggled with having money for food.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we struggled to like have money for anything. Like,
yeah.
It was just like a little bit of, I don't know. I don't even know how we did it.
Yeah.
But it happened. So now I understand. I mean, at least I'm trying to understand where my mom was coming from. The fact that we were living with her, I guess I just thought we would have that support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I'm not saying this for my mother to be judged.
Yeah.
Because it's nobody's business. And I know now that, maybe the intention was to show us responsibility and to just show us that, how to make things for ourselves. But maybe the timing was wrong.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel, because we struggled a lot, and I remember we had to buy our separate groceries.
Yeah.
And I remember we didn't always have the money to buy our groceries.
Yeah.
So, if I remember correctly, there would be times where you would go without eating.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it clearly. I mean, your mom has changed. She's done more of an effort.
Well, I mean, it's taken a lot of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've worked on our relationship. I think I've had to put my foot down.
Yeah.
I think, and again, this is not for my mother to be judged. Like, my mother had her reasons. My mother had, she went through her own stuff growing up. It's just, it's not, I'm not, maybe I judged her for a long time, and I held some resentment, which we are working through. We're in a much better place now. But, there was a time where we couldn't stand each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, that kind of with that situation, like, but what I was trying to get to was like, your mom has changed. There's a lot more communication between you and her. I think during the time it was a little harder because there wasn't that communication. So if she wanted something out of you, or an expectation from you, or you from her, like, there wasn't that communication. So
I
it's
think she thought, like, I'm your mother, so you owe me respect. So, and you're my child, and I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
And that's how it always felt. Maybe that wasn't her intention, but that's how it felt. Like, it felt like that's the kind of relationship that like we had. It was like I owed her respect because you brought me into the world, but I didn't deserve any respect from her.
Yeah. And I recall from that time, we had previously lived with her before Aiden was born, and we had our agreements, like, we have a fridge. Well, we're gonna be sharing the fridge, and 50-50 is ours. Like, 50 of one side is ours and 50 on the other side is hers, right? So we kind of had that agreement. Before Aiden was born, she suggested it, and we're like, that'll be good. She can help us out with Aiden. She's had 2 kids already, so of course she knows a little bit more than us.
My mom had 2 kids.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You and your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we saw that as an opportunity to get that help, right? And then I remember the agreement was, like, okay, but I'm gonna charge you a little bit more. That way, so I can help you. So just
it'll be kind of like to make up for the groceries.
Yeah. So that way you don't have to buy groceries. That was the agreement.
That was when we moved back in.
Yeah.
Right?
The second time that was with Aiden, and that agreement kind of fell apart. The communication wasn't there. So, I don't know if it was something that she forgot that the agreement was, we'll give you more for it, so you can put in more, groceries, or
so we don't have to worry so much about
going out and buying groceries.
Yeah.
She'll just buy the groceries, and you don't have to go out the house. I think that was the main concern was you not leaving the house so often with Aiden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just got to a point where it started getting like kind of, how can I say this?
Toxic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, toxic. It got toxic because groceries started becoming an issue. We were bringing in WIC. We were putting our groceries in from like the milk and the eggs and the bread and stuff like that. But I think it was a little bit too much for your mom at the time, because your mom was a single mother. She had to pay rent as well, and then she had Brenda. So it's like, I think she wasn't expecting it to be that much. So things started kind of going spiral after a while, and it just got to a point where, like, I would come home and I would just not eat, right, just to avoid a problem or avoid an issue, because there was already stress on you with Aiden crying, and then there was your mom. You guys always going at it, or not always going at it, but having disagreements.
We were always going at it.
Yeah, disagreements. So I'm like, well, one thing I don't want to bring is food as an issue. So I just picked and choose when to eat or how to eat, because I mean during the time I was working at McDonald's, and I think with McDonald's even as a manager, because I was a manager there, the the wage is only a little bit above minimum. As a coworker, you were doing around that time, it was like what, 625, 650 for a coworker. Manager was only making about 25 to 50 cents more. So I was literally doing 775. Like what the hell? Like that's not a living wage specifically for someone like us that had our firstborn.
And I remember multiple times applying for food stamps and being denied, and because you made too much money. And I was like, how the
yeah, I think you were filling out the applications wrong. I don't know. It's just I
was filling them out as truthfully as possible.
Yeah.
Hoping that we'd get. Oh, I think one of the things was like, because I didn't have Aiden wasn't old enough to eat the food, so that was one of the reasons why I was being denied. And I was like, whoa, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a citizen. I need to eat.
Yeah.
And no, I always got denied for food stamps.
Yeah, and with my background and where I worked, it was hard. Like I remember my checks would be $400, $498. I think the most it got.
And our rent was like $425 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how much we contributed to my mom.
Yeah, so it's like it was it wasn't that much. My wage wasn't that much, so of course we were tight. And then of course it was like insurance, gas, clothing, anything. It just added up.
Our cell phone bill.
Cell phone bills.
Just everything, just all the little things that add up, just added up.
Yeah, and we didn't really have like room for anything else, So it's like, we definitely depended on WIC, and it was a lifesaver.
Yeah, that was like super helpful to us.
Yeah.
I think I had that available for us up until through Adi, through my pregnancy with Adi, and then after when they turned 5, I think that's when they cut you off. But regardless, like that was like the biggest help that we could have received.
Yeah.
And then I think at certain times they also give you vouchers for like the farmers market, so you go get fresh veggies and stuff. And I took advantage of all of that. And then
so things like that, like WIC, I think they're great programs for people that need it. People that are really in need. People like us that were really in need. We needed it, and it was there available to us. So I thank a lot for that program, being open and still available for people, because it is rough. Living in the Bay Area is not cheap, and even back then it was a lot cheaper, but it didn't change the fact that we were like just
making
kids.
Like way less than than a living wage.
Yeah, and things slowly started changing. We started, you can say,
growing.
No, well, yeah, I mean, growing, of course, obviously, but kind of climbing up the ladder little by little,
Yeah,
and that just made
getting
it
somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I know shortly after that, we moved into a house with your mom as well. That she got the opportunity of getting a house, renting a house, and then after that we were on.
And we were renting it for pretty cheap. And even then, when we got that house, I remember that she bought a second fridge just to make sure that our food was divided. That was hurtful.
Yeah.
That was hurtful for many reasons. It's like back when, we were living at the apartment, even when we moved into the house, I think we weren't in the best place financially.
Yeah.
And of course, I understand her being a single mom, and she also needed to provide for my sister. I totally get it, but I think that was kind of a place where we could have helped each other.
Yeah,
it's like kind of a when this is out, like if I have the time and I'm available to go to the store, I'll replace it, and then vice versa. It's just like it could have been a different kind of agreement, but I felt like personally the way the situation went, I took it as being a little selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was hard for me. It was hurtful to feel like I felt like she was doing better than us. At that time, she was doing better than us. She had her long time work job, and then she like I think I said before, she cleans houses, so she did that on the side, and I felt like I seen her and she was doing pretty well, and I just felt like she didn't want to help.
Yeah, and like you said, kind of not to like judge your mom, but as human beings, you make mistakes. My parents have done their share of mistakes, and including my mom and my dad. And it's not always like the best example, to put on your kids. But yeah, I mean, I felt like your mom was like very, shady to an extent. But like I said, like kind of like what you just literally just said is like, she had her reasons. She had her.
I think she wanted to show us like responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I want to look at it. It's like, ultimately, we learned that.
Yeah.
We are very responsible. We've, from the beginning, I feel like we've been pretty responsible. I don't think we ever like missed a bill or whatever. It's it's always been responsibilities first, and taking care of our family and ourselves and stuff. And the lesson was learned.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of going back to like the whole job thing, I am a DACA recipient. So for someone that came very early in their their life, into the United States, you don't have those opportunities, going somewhere where they pay better. So it's like, I was at McDonald's because that's what I could have done. I could have gone through constructions and going out with, with people I knew, but, I knew that I needed something.
What do you mean going out with people I knew?
Like kind of looking jobs, like kind of like not unions, but, going out looking for jobs, in construction, kind of like,
kind of like what your father did.
Yeah. Kind of like what my dad did. But with experience with my dad and going through what he went through, construction
it has its
jobs.
Seasons.
Yeah, in general, it has seasons. There'll be the rainy days, and you just don't have a job. And that can last up to like 3 months, depending on the weather, right? So it was something that I knew paid well, and I could have done, but it was also not very reliable. And having a family, having a newborn, I need reliability over something else. So
you needed something that was stable, that you knew you were gonna have a steady income.
Yeah, and and like kind of like we say, like we were always responsible, right? So yeah, I was responsible. I went to my job, and I took everything I could from McDonald's, and I made the most out of it, right?
Yeah,
I started working at McDonald's, and then within a month, I was already getting promoted. That like my work ethic was like, yeah, I'm gonna be here.
On point.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna make the best out of it. Like I'm gonna make sure that I, once again, kind of climb up the ladder, and that was the mentality. That way, one day.
I remember you going to like a whole training course. You drove to Chico, yeah, to do a whole training course, and you came back with a certificate. And me and Aiden were super proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like I remember putting it up on the wall. It's like it's just you just made the best of where you were at, and
And my mentality was, of course, no way in my right mind I was like, oh yeah, I'll be McDonald's for years. Like no, I knew that I had to eventually leave McDonald's because there's better jobs that pay better out there, And McDonald's was around 2007 to even 2012. There's no benefits, so you literally just work and that's it. You make your money and that's all you get. You don't get any benefits. You don't have any incentives. It's like literally just you work and you get your paycheck and that's it. And I knew there was jobs out there, specifically when you started working at IKEA, that there's jobs with benefits. There's jobs that have great benefits that give you time off, and like I've never heard such a thing.
It's like me neither.
I'm like, what's time off?
Until I started working there, it's like I get PTO. Like my mom, also she worked at a fast food place, and it's like you call off sick and you lose pay for the day.
Yep.
It's like you don't get to make that up.
Mm-hmm.
And just to me, to be working at a job that was like, you mean I get paid if like, I'm calling out because like my stomach hurts or whatever the reason, or just I can put in a day in advance that I need, like my birthday, and I'll get paid for that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, so it was like mind blowing, when you started working there. But where I was at the moment, I didn't have that luxury. So I know I didn't want to stay there, regardless, like how high I could get, corporate level, VP, like that was unlikely, right? So I knew
VP?
Like vice president
of McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean,
oh shit, I
people
didn't
could
know
get there. Yeah, I mean, you can get as far as you want, right? But I know the plan wasn't, I mean, that's competition over I don't know how many people, right? But I knew that I wanted to get out of there, but I wanted to make sure that before I left and I applied somewhere else, I had like this whole background of work experience, right? And when I had the opportunity, DACA came.
Beautiful.
But once I got,
I'm looking at you with hard eyes.
Right, I know, now. I feel it. But once Obama came, he did what
he gave you the opportunity.
Gave me the opportunity. I mean, I was here since I was 3, and I don't remember Mexico at all. My hometown, I don't know. I just know by names and like
you
little
seen pictures on Google.
Yeah, and like YouTube, you see like a lot of things that like I kind of know that. I kind of remember that place. It's just I get little clips and images from my hometown. Not too much. It's very vague, but yeah. I mean, I was here since I was 3. So I know nothing else besides the United States, and we've been living in the Bay Area since we got here. We have not moved past Richmond, San Pablo, briefly in Oakland, but this is where I've been. So I know nothing.
Like, this is your home.
Yeah, I feel more American than anybody else, but by paper I wasn't. So when Obama came, he made it happen for a lot of people. A lot of people with like my same background, and I was lucky to have gone through school, gone through my whole childhood living here, and then he helped us out.
Just like you had all the requirements, you were not a troubled person.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have like any kind of record. No. Like you contributed to society, paid your taxes and everything.
Taxes,
so it's like all of that helped with the process.
So yeah,
so it was lengthy.
Yeah, and literally the word dreamer was what I had. We both had a dream that one day we would have a better paying job, in particular me. We dreamed a lot. We dreamed a lot about a lot of things, kind of like,
we dreamed about having a forever home for our children.
Yeah. And, we dreamed like we were always like, when Aiden wouldn't stop crying, we would drive around and we would say, hey, like, I wonder how much the rent is on that apartment, because we were living in a room with your mom. I wonder how much would be the rent for that house, So it's like, we had dreams, and it took a lot of time, and a lot of dedication.
I didn't know you were gonna go there.
I know, me neither, but it kind of got there. It did get there. And we talked about that.
I remember calling places. Like we would drive.
No chillas.
I remember driving around, and seeing that for rent sign.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, they'll have like the for rent sign on the windows, and I remember calling the numbers just to see how much it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just the disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Just way over our budget. Like, we can never afford something like that.
Yeah. And I remember when we were living at the studio right before we had Pookie, there was that one apartment in front of Barrett that it was like literally $75 more than we were paying. And that was out of our budget. It was very cheap because it was around the time I believe it was $750, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment. And I'm like, whoa, that's Pookie can have his own room. You can live a lot comfortable in
We're
75.
dreaming.
Yeah, I mean, in 75 was a lot, and it was out of our range. It's like if I only could make a little bit more, we can definitely do it. But it was unlikely. But yeah, the word dreamer really hits home. It really means a lot it meant a lot for people like me. And we're living the dream right now. Years later, through work, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and we
just supporting each other.
Yeah, like very, very supportive. Like once he started working at in Emerville with IKEA, you were making about the exact same amount that I was, but you were working less hours. I was working for 40, and my checks were about 400. 500, and you were making about that much, a little bit more or less.
I was making more than you.
Yeah,
you mean because you say I was making the same exact amount as you.
Yeah, but you were working less hours. So your pay wage was a little bit higher, compared to mine. But you weren't making as much.
I was making more money than you, but I was working less hours.
There you go. That's perfect.
Oh my God, Mario.
But so yeah, it got easier. And throughout the years, I think we've been like very supportive of each other. When you were able to move to a different department, technically, you started making a little bit more money, and there was a point where you were the main household, provider. Yeah. Like you were making more money than me. You were making more amount wise. I was
paying most of the bills.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. So you were like the prime, the main provider. And I never felt like, that made me feel less. Like, I was happy.
I never felt, what is that word, inferior?
Yeah. Because, once again, not generalizing, but there's machismo. There's like, that the man that wants to be the provider and he needs to be the provider. And, I never had that. I always took it as in like, your goals, your achievements are my achievements. That's how it was. Like, us supporting each other. Like I never said, hey, you got to stop working there because you're making more than I do. No, it was like, keep going.
It was beneficial for us.
Yeah. So I was supporting you. I always like push you to do more. Like, there was something else like, yeah, let's go for it. Like, let's do it. But in reality it was you, and like anything you wanted to do, like, yeah. But we always said it as we, when I got the position as a store manager, like it was like, yeah, we should go for it. Like we, it wasn't me. It was we, but
when you got the position as a store manager, where?
At Shattuck.
McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, things were looking better for us. I was at Denny's as an active store manager at Denny's, and then I moved over to Target. And that was just hard work and each other pushing us to do more, and encourage each other to do more. But yeah, I mean, kind of like our work ethic was always the same. We share the same work ethics, in my opinion. And then, like kind of what we mentioned in a previous podcast, like kind of thinking about it. I didn't take my first real vacation until I was working at Target. Like I've never had a vacation from literally the day I started working until like, and that's just not call outs, because I did have calls, with Target, but I didn't take my vacation like literally like a year and a half into it. And they kind of forced me into it because
you had a bunch of PTO.
I had a lot. Well, not just that. I remember I was very annoyed by people, during my time at Target, because I was putting a lot of hours in, and I think it started like, they started noticing that I was grumpy, that I was like, very irritable.
Dude, you need a vacation.
They literally said it like that. Like, I think you need a vacation. Like, like you seem kind of, I'm like, what? What do I look like? They were like, and they forced me, like, literally, okay, the store manager at times, like, he's like, okay, you're gonna have to have these days off. He told my supervisor, like, he's not on the schedule. He's gonna have vacation. I'm like, no, I'm not. I didn't request vacation. Like, no, you're going. Like, okay, whenever, you know what? I'll meet you in the middle. I'll go in a week and a half, and that's what we ended up doing. But that was like, I didn't.
Was it helpful?
Not at all.
No.
I mean, I spent a lot of time with you guys. Because you came back
to the same bullshit.
Same shit. But I mean, it was helpful as in like we got to like hang out. We got a couple of days off. you were able to like request a couple days, and that was pretty much it. But I went back to the same shit. But I mean, yeah, it's just like, our constant motivation towards each other has helped us a lot. And looking back at it, we just feel blessed, like really blessed. And we
Speak for yourself. I'm just
Damn.
kidding. We do feel blessed.
Yeah.
I feel like we have really accomplished a lot together, and I mean, I don't know what I would have done without you.
Yeah, and yeah, me too. Sorry, I don't want to like just move past that and I ignore it. But no, I do too. We talked about that a lot. And you just can't imagine.
I can't
any other
imagine
scenario.
my life without you. I
So,
can't imagine my life going through like the struggles that we went through. It's like without that, like that's just shaped us.
Yeah, and kind of like before, I went back, but what I wanted to say is like we've had our moments where we've been tested by life. We've been tested by life. There was the time when we had to find our own place. After Adi was born, after Aiden was born, we had to move away from the house because the owner asked for the house. We had
He
to find.
asked us to move out, and he gave us like 15 days.
Yeah, yeah.
He did, right?
I think he gave us 45, but it took us 15 days to move out.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, it's like the house was kind of shitty. It was old and needed things. And he lived like literally right next door to us. Like he had his own little studio right next to his house. And we would call him over like, hey, there's whatever, this broke or whatever. I mean, that's kind of what a landlord's supposed to do, right?
And he told us that anything breaks, just let us know and then we'll fix it. And he was a DIYer, so he did a lot of the, quote unquote fixes was on his own, and not everything was quality, not everything was durable. So yeah, he went there a lot and fixed here and things in there, and I think he got tired after a while, but
he was getting older and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah. So that was a test for us because we were asked for the house suddenly. We weren't really prepared, and financially we weren't ready.
It's just like every time something like that happened, Mario, it's like something better was waiting for us on the other side.
Yep, that's
like that's what it literally feels like. It's like, okay, when that happened, we moved into a studio on our own where we were paying $750, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think after a while they charged us another $100 or whatever. But we were paying. It was a little room that had its little living room, and it had like, we didn't have a dining table, but it was like just something you can stand around, like a little table to like place plates on top while I'm cooking or whatever. Very small bathroom. It was us and our children. We could fit our bed and then their bunk bed. That's how we had that place.
Yeah, it was a studio and it was pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
it was
nice.
Pretty decent size. The living room was, all to ourselves. It literally had a living room. We had our own room. We had a kitchen which was pretty small. Smaller than, we couldn't fit a table, but it was a kitchen. We had
we could cook.
We could cook.
We had a fridge.
Yeah, and we had a dining room where we can just go ahead and eat, right?
We had water. We had anything we needed.
It was perfect. And then we had a little backyard that we, technically we shared it with the person in front.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when we moved out, when they told us like, we're going to need the house, or, I'm going to need the house, we were like stressing. And
my birthday was coming up, and I remember we were like, how are we going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the stressor. Like, I think that you're more of the
Mm-hmm.
level-headed, and I just, like, literally always jump into conclusion, and I'm already crying.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, my God, we're going to die.
Yeah.
And
then even when we got the studio, like the first week, you were stressing, like, I don't think we can do this. I don't see it. Like, our finances.
I just thought it was too much money.
Yeah.
At the time, too.
And,
we did it.
And we had money.
Yeah, we did it. And I think where you're talking about, like, we've always needed that push. Like, we could do it. We just didn't like go for it. We just didn't maybe believe in ourselves as much as we should. But it's like the universe has always given us that push. Like, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Go do this on your own.
Yeah.
Go figure this out, and it always works out.
Yeah. And same scenario happened with the studio.
Yeah.
We had to get that push because the people that were renting the house, the people that lived in front, they had
they had a situation where their daughter was, I guess she was splitting up with her dude or something, and they were gonna need the studio for her daughter and her children. So they asked us, like, we'll give you 3 months. I guess her daughter's lease was up in 3 months.
Yeah.
And we'll give you 3 months, and then you guys can you guys are gonna have to move out. We need it for our daughter. Again, I stressed out.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah.
Within 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Within 3 days, we were already moved out.
Yeah. I remember the whole process. I was at Target already?
Yeah, you were at Target.
You were, at IKEA.
I'm still at IKEA. I've been at IKEA for 9 years.
Shit, that's what's up. Dedication right there. But, we were a lot better. But, once again, there was always that push that we needed because we didn't think, I think we're okay.
I mean, at the time, we were paying for our rent, and then we also had our daughter in daycare.
Yeah.
So the only change that happened there is we had to pull our daughter from daycare, and that was what we needed to make up for the rest of our rent.
Yeah.
At the apartment that we moved into, but it was super quick. You found it on Craigslist.
Yeah.
We went to go see it. Like they had like a open house. I think we talked about it in a previous conversation. They had the open house. There was other people there.
Yeah.
And then I remember leaving, and I was like, "Well, let's try."
Yeah.
So I think we had to pay like a $35 fee for a background check for each of us.
An application, technically.
Yeah. That was the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like $35 for the application and background check. So immediately we submitted our information, and within hours, maybe in 2 hours later, we got the call. It's yours.
Yep. I remember we were gonna go, get something to eat. Like, let's go get distracted. Let's go to Hercules and get some Hawaiian barbecue. And on the way there, they gave us a call because we were
on our way to go see another one.
Yep, another one. So,
yeah, which was more. It was more expensive and way smaller.
A lot smaller. But benefit was that it was in Hercules. It was a good area, and
it's kind of a gated kind of area.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why it was more expensive. But when we got the call, you guys got it. Like, we don't even need to go see it, but we still did because
we already had set up an appointment.
Yeah, we had committed to go and see it. But so it's it was just very quick, and even with the studio, kind of going back. When they told us, like, hey, you guys got to move out. Luckily, I had a friend that posted on Facebook, hey, anybody looking for a studio.
When the man asked us for the house.
Yeah, when the man asked us for the house, and we're looking for a place, and we found a studio. It was like a friend, like, hey, anybody need a studio? I'm moving out by this day, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, damn, it was instantly. Almost.
It was literally within days, too.
Yeah, it was within days, and I was like, you know what?
I think that one was like 5 days after they asked us for the place. We were already moved out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we went to. I remember there was a night we went to go see it, and then he asked the people in the front to if they could speak with us. We had our conversation with them. Our kids were there. It's like it's literally just the two of us and our kids, and we had the money ready like for a deposit, and we were like, we'll take it now. Like we just need a place for our children, and I don't know. They're like, okay.
Well, remember, it was actually, yeah, it was pretty fast because it did take us a little longer to actually talk to the people because we couldn't connect between, my friend and the owner.
Wasn't it that same night?
No, it was, remember, it kind of took him a while back to reply back to me like, hey, I'm actually interested, blah, blah, blah. And it took him a while, but once, say, oh, come now, because they're already showing it. We went, we spoke to the people that were living in front, and, within a day, they say, okay, yeah, so it was very fast. You know, it was like kind of like we said, like it was kind of meant to be. You know, we were meant to like move in here. Same thing with apartment. Like, you know, it's kind of meant to be. We were, you know, there. Because even in like around the time that we got the apartment, it was like, it was a pretty cheap price, you know, for a 1-bedroom apartment. That's when Bay Area really started like getting very expensive.
Yeah.
So
that part was super scary to
Yeah.
me. Like when they asked us for the studio, it's like fucking rent is hella expensive right now. Like, how are we going to survive right now? Like
1-bedroom apartments were going about $1,400, $1,500, and 2-bedroom apartments was $1,600, $1,800. It was just it's still ridiculous up to right now. But we got that apartment. It was pretty decent price. It was pretty comfortable, and it was, you know.
And not only that, it was like, because I remember we also went to look at some townhouses.
Yeah.
And I remember we were, you know, looking for the most affordable, but they wouldn't rent us like a place that was less than, I think it was like less than 2,400. They wouldn't rent us anything less than that because we were a family of 4. Yeah. So it's like they didn't want so many people in a, you know, a smaller place. So I remember when they told us that we got the apartment, or before we got the apartment, we asked, like, you know, it's 4 of us, like, would they rent it to us? Like, it's 4 of us. We just wanted to know. And I think the guy was like, yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, just pay your rent, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of like with that, with getting the apartment, even though we did get it in between like pretty fast, we were like super actively looking. We were calling places within that day or two. We literally were calling like so many people that were renting. And I remember somewhere.
And it's funny because I remember it was a Saturday when we got that.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday. We both had the day off, and we went to take the kids out for breakfast. We went to McDonald's, and then while we were sitting at McDonald's, all the kids were just, you know, not knowing the stress that was in our, you know, on our shoulders. It's like we were on our phone looking for places. You know,
and everything was so unexpected. We were not expecting to get a call so soon or find a place. We had plans for that weekend. It was one of your friends' wedding, you know?
Yeah.
So we had to, like,
it was Alejandra's wedding.
So we had to like skip on it because they said, okay, here you go. He can move in. And like,
I don't think I ever apologized.
Oh, you did?
I did?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if she didn't.
Either way, I'm sorry, Alejandra.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, just message her and be like, yeah, you never apologized.
Yeah, we were going through it.
Yeah, it was something that was like, you know, okay, we have to do it now, you know, because it started raining. We needed to get out of there as soon as possible.
Well, the thing is, we didn't need to get out of there as soon as possible. They gave us 3 months. But in order for us to have the money collected for, you know, the everything, the deposit, the first month's rent, you know, whatever, it's like we needed to move out because we couldn't afford paying the rent there and then going to the new place. So the people were actually on vacation. Mm-hmm. So we literally, like, we couldn't tell them until they came back is when we told them. And I remember the lady telling me that her husband was upset that we moved out so quickly. And I told her, I was like, you're a mother, right? You have to understand that we needed to look out for our children. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we did it really quickly, but we weren't going to wait until it's super expensive out there. It's rough out there. We weren't going to wait until the last minute either.
Yeah, this situation was like, you know, we got lucky to get this place. If we were like, oh, we don't need it till like next month, that meant that 2 things. We could have, like, you know, can you hold it for a month, which was very unlikely. Yeah, or pay the lady the month and then pay the apartment the month, and that's like that was not under you know, our circumstances.
I mean, you asked for it, there you go.
Yeah,
not like in a like messed up way or anything, but it's like we have to look out for our children. We have to provide. We have to have a roof over their head. It's like that's our job. Yeah, and if we look bad here now, I'm sorry, but my kids had come first.
Yeah, and I remember the lady was really nice, you know. She was very understanding. Like,
I remember running into her a couple of years later at the Cinco de Mayo festival on 23rd, and you know, they both, her and her husband, they said hi to us, and they were very excited to see us. And you know, we always, you know, we had respect for them. They had respect for us. I remember they even gifted our kids Christmas gifts and stuff. So it's like, you know, it was a good, I don't know, transaction, like what we had. But ultimately we had to do what was best for our family.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really nice people. When it's just kind of thinking about it right now, Aiden was going a downer, kind of for TK.
Mm.
And he was going through should I learn English or Spanish type thing. We ended up going through, unfortunately we went through just English because class, was getting a little.
Well, we were. That's like a whole nother conversation.
But I remember kind of going, like, I don't want to get too drifted off, but I remember he would talk to her, in Spanish. He would try so hard to talk to her in Spanish because she was always talking in Spanish. And, he was so small and, she was like, oh, ¿cómo estás? And he would try his best to reply back. And I just remember like little things like, we were like leaving and he would say hola to her, not hi. He would say hola. ¿Y tú cómo estás? Just like little words like that. I just kind of remember like, it was nice. He had his little phase where he was like trying hard to talk to her,
Yeah.
And I mean,
they were very kind.
They were
very
very nice
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got the apartment a couple of years later, and then things really started looking out for us. After that was just nice guy.
After that, I think during that time. Oh no, you already had your permit.
Yeah,
so.
I had DACA already. I had DACA already. I started working at IKEA myself, and we started.
It's funny because I remember somebody making a joke one time about how much I love my job because I even brought my husband over.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So fortunately for us, we maintain the same focus with with our jobs and finance, and we are here now. A few years later, and we have our own home. It was it was an amazing moment. It was very stressful. The whole process was very stressful. But
I think you took it lightly. I think I almost pulled my hairs out.
Yeah.
You took it very lightly, and I think that was annoying to me.
Yeah.
I just so annoyed with you. It's like, why are you so calm?
Yeah. I mean, it was stressful. It was, but I like, okay, let's take it calm. You literally told me at least 3 times within that process, like, you know what, just tell them we don't want to go through it. Let's cancel everything. I'm like, no, we're into it. We're like almost there. And we were just waiting for, we had signed the escrow. We had sit down and finalize the papers. We're just waiting on them. And you were like, nope, tell them that I don't want to go through with this no more. Just cancel the papers. I don't want to move in. And like, no, let's just wait a couple more days. And, it played out.
I mean, like I said, you are the level headed. I just overreact, and kind of crazy.
Yeah. And anything that we've learned throughout the years was that with patience, dedication, a lot of hard work, and just understanding that whatever you're going through is temporary, as long as you push forward. You can't blame one another for sure on things that are not looking good, because there was at one point where we were sharing cars or a car. We were sharing a car. There was a point where we didn't have food on our plates. I had to sometimes bring food from my job, so we can eat. Or I had to make sure that before I leave work, I eat. That way I can like wait till my next day so I can eat, little stuff like that. And, things were hard, but we were positive. We had a lot of love for each other. Emotionally, we were really strong. We have our ups and downs, but even in our ups and downs, even on our downs, we were, we had a lot of love for each other. And I think that motivated us to keep going. And, personally, me, I feel super blessed to have gone through that, because, it's kind of crazy to say that, but I feel blessed that we went through that, because we are the people that we are now. I feel like we're humble. I feel like, everything that we have, we appreciate it just more because we work for it.
There's sometimes, like I told you this before, it's like there's times where I walk around the house and I kind of look around, like when the kids are sleeping or when they're busy doing something. I kind of just stand in the middle of whatever room I'm in and I look around and I'm just like, I'm just so thankful.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for everything that we have.
Yeah. I mean, we were just a couple kids going around, driving around, looking at houses and wondering, hey, I wonder,
looking at apartments or
like how much would,
just anything.
like, you know, I wonder how much they would rent, you know, and now we're here like owning, you know, it's beautiful, you know, like same thing with me. Like I look around, I was actually just in the backyard a couple days ago. And like I was looking at the backyard. I'm like, you know, these damn moles or these damn gophers really fucked up the backyard. But I was like, you know, I'm going to get it back to where it was. You know, I'm going to fix it up. And I was just thinking like all these little things that I'm doing. And it hit me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can do whatever. You know, technically we can do whatever we want with this backyard because it belongs to us. And, of course, just having the dogs running around, you know, it was like a very humbling moment and a very proudful moment, you know, because we worked hard, you know, it was just, we were just nonstop, you know, machines. And, you know, we're still not going to stop anytime soon. You know, there's still more things that we can do. Want to build a second story here or I
want to farm.
Or buy a farm.
You know, eventually we might, you know, move out of the Bay Area or something and go to a farm. But I want to be able to retire at a farm.
Yeah. Buy some goats, some chickens.
I want to have a horse stable.
Maybe a dragon or two.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A dragon? Yeah.
Dragon.
Okay.
Some Pokemon.
Yeah. A Pikachu or two. A Gyarados. But yeah, you know, I'm like, yeah, I just can't, you know,
You're done.
I'm done. You know, there's not much more I can say.
Well, actually, I just, you know, before we end, I think our conversation's kind of over. But before we end, I'm just really excited to share that we've started to connect with some of our friends and, you know, people that we've, you know, disconnected with for a while. And we're excited to share that we're starting to have those conversations about having, you know, friends and family come and share their stories of their relationships and what they've had to go through. And that's really exciting. Like, So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, you know, I'm excited as well because we can get other people's, you know, input on what makes their relationship work because
everything works different for everyone.
Like our story and the way we worked our things might not be the same for other people. Mm-hmm. Some people might need to approach it differently, but I think having a more broad, you know, or different scenarios and different like relationships, you know, with people and giving us their experience might touch somebody else, you know, struggling and they're like, hey, we can try that, you know. So yeah, it's exciting. You know, we want to help people and, you know, our stories might not connect with somebody else, but somebody else's story that we bring on might. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited as well. So we have a lot of, not a lot of people like, we don't have people lined up, but we do have a certain amount of people that
we will.
Yeah, we will soon. But we do have some people that we feel like have, you know, very interesting stories and then can bring in a lot. So hopefully we start like, you know, little by little start bringing people in and talk to us and to you all. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you for tuning in. It's about an hour, you know. I think it was very good. Thank you.